My dad told me when I was very young that if I really wanted to be successful in skiing, I had to be a lot more than a ski racer.
She decided at 9 years old that she wanted to join the Olympics, and ever since she's become the most decorated female skier of all time.
I grew up skiing with my family, and that's why I loved it. It originated just from the pure love of the mountain, not for racing.
What tips would you give to someone? What would you tell someone to say to themselves in those difficult moments?
We have the ability to overcome a lot of adversity and obstacles. It's just a matter of how much we're willing to sacrifice to get there. We are our own biggest obstacle.
Yeah, you said about spending a lot of time alone. Something that surprised me about, I've sort of watched ski racing quite a bit growing up. I did it not so seriously, at least not so seriously as you when I was younger. But what surprised me reading your book is kind of about how you're basically driving yourself around. And for a sport that's so popular, it's interesting how, not grassroots, so to speak, but it's interesting how lonely it can be and how you're sort of doing a lot of it yourself.
Yeah, it's an interesting sport. There's definitely a lot of interest in Europe, and it is quite popular in a lot of places, but just how it's structured and set up and how we go from place to place and race every weekend, and it's in the Alps. It's not like you need to fly everywhere. So obviously driving is the best mode of transportation, but when, like I said before, when the dust settles, after you've won the race, there's really no one else, and I think that is actually true for a lot of sports. It just maybe isn't as travel intense, or, you're not necessarily driving by yourself. And I think some of those solitary moments were also really important for me to figure out, why am I here? What am I doing? Because you really have to figure out the love and the passion for the sport. If you don't love what you're doing, those moments will eat you alive. And, so you have to figure out, what's driving me, what's motivating me, and that will help a lot. And that did for me.
Yeah. And how have you seen sort of the skiing scene change? I mean, you were one of the first to have like a big personal brand. You had Peekaboo Street before you. Now in Britain, we kind of have Dave Riding as one of our first big skiers, thankfully. How have you seen it change? Is there sort of a bigger team around people now?
It's interesting. I think Dave's done a really great job, and I think it's actually been broken down to more individual teams. It's instead of these, nations that are all grouping together to train, it's, private coaches and more individualized programs, which I think is really great for individual athletes. But when you look at the teams as a whole and how the sport, needs to evolve, and meaning, how do we gain more athletes, especially in the US, how do we get more people to be involved in skiing? I think that it lacks democratization. It really elevates the elite and makes it more challenging for, people like me. I grew up in Minnesota and I didn't have money. And I was lucky enough to make the team when I was 15 and was financially supported from then on out. Now we don't have that. Now you have to be on the World Cup in order to get any sort of funding. And, a lot of the girls and men that are on the Europa Cup team are having to pay, $30,000, $40,000 a year. So I think it's evolving in maybe a not ideal way from that financial perspective, but you are seeing incredibly talented people, come up because they have a more individualized program.
Yeah, in terms of grassrootsness, I think what's helped a lot in the UK is kind of dry slope coming about.
Yeah.
But what ways do you think we can kind of try and remove those barriers to try and get more people into skiing as a sport? Is it funding? Is it like getting more people on the slopes? What's the...
Yeah, I mean, I do think like the summer skiing and the ski domes have helped a lot, especially in Europe. We do have one ski dome in the US in New Jersey, and I think people are just starting to figure out that that's a good place to go. Before it was really just a tourist attraction in a mall. And I think, we're starting to capitalize on that space. But, I think the biggest issue is cost in general. Even just for a lift ticket in the United States, it's $250 per day, which is crazy. And I think there is some progress. I think with, Park City Ski Academy, they have a charter school, which is, so it's free for everyone, and same in Vail. So there are those kind of charter school situations where we're able to ski and go to school and not pay a fortune. And I think if we can get more of those going, and maybe there can be like a youth program on every mountain where, if you're at a certain age or you're in a race program, you get a discount on passes, things like that. I think we need to try to make it more accessible. Still the resorts can make money off of, tourism, but we have to also be aware that we need ski racing for the sport of skiing as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a racer or really a skier. I've only been once, and I went to France with Ollie and a bunch of other friends, and it was really fun. But
nice.
for those who do ski, you've spoken a little bit about. No, go ahead, Ollie.
Sorry, just to cut in a funny story. He actually got us stuck. I don't know how well you know, like the three valleys. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
But we tried to take him. We were staying in Val Thorens on like the Oxford ski trip, and we took him to Maribel, and it took us too long. We had to get a taxi back. Yeah, we got stuck.
It's actually a long way, and if you have to taxi back, that's not a short taxi ride.
I know, it was really like expensive. His fourth day as well, so it's kind of. That's my bad as much as his, but yeah, we got stuck.
Did you stop at Folie Douce in Maribel and just and stay there?
I don't know. We got to the bottom. It was like one of those smaller villages in Maribel. I think it wasn't even the proper one. Took a while to find. No, we didn't get to Folie Douce, unfortunately.
Okay, so it was more of a trap situation. It wasn't even like a fun trap. Okay, I got it. Yeah, we had World Cup finals in Maribel. I think in 2016, and then that was the first place I went on a ski vacation when I retired was Courchevel, and we skied the three valleys. It was really fun, but you need a better ski guide, I think, next time.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode. I just wanted to drop you in a word from our sponsor Manscaped. You can use the discount code LOAF to get your discount, because even a lion needs to tame its mane.
Get the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped now. Stay fresh with no cuts, so that your baguette leaves no crumbs.